So today you're in for a treat, not just because this is the second video of the day, but because of what Riot has just released in this video. Some very interesting news indeed, and it's basically giving us the picture of what's going to happen in 2023. Now, I'm sure most of you are aware that there's going to be some kind of new partnership thing, 10 teams in each of 3 leagues. I'm sure some of you are aware of that. They go over that in the video as well. But there are some really interesting things that they're doing. And so let's just dive in as I become a React Andy here to, what's going to happen in VCT. So start off, some colors, Dubai, nice, more colors, fans, nice, good intro, good start.
Hey everyone.
Hello.
Today I'm here to share more on our plans for the future of Valorant esports and the experiences we want to create for you next year. The growing Valorant community and your passion for the game have pushed us to dream big about what this esport could be. We want to build an esport that will meet the overwhelming demand we're seeing in every corner of the world. We want to highlight rising superstars and create bigger and more creative shows. We're taking everything we've learned, adding in a few new ideas, and forming partnerships that will help us realize our dreams for the next edition of the Valorant Champions Tour. Next year is going to introduce a new structure with 30 teams competing in 3 new international leagues.
Oh, so you know that?
In normal years, our plan is to operate 2 international league splits each.
Okay, so this is kind of the first important point here, which is that there's going to be 2 international league splits, right? So most likely it's just going to look like this year did, right? There's going to be 2 masters, 2 qualification events before that for those 2 masters, right? And then a champs. It looks like this year was kind of a sort of blueprint for the future years. And I'm sure that, as I say, in normal years, this is what it's going to look like. This is what you can kind of expect going forward. February to March, April to June is when, it's kind of mainly going to be happening for these initial parts of the splits there, and you can expect that is probably going to be going forward most years, you would think. So that's kind of first important point.
But as teams will be busy setting up in their new global hubs, we're going to take this opportunity to do something special. To recognize this landmark transition, instead of a regular split, we're going to kick off the next season by hosting the largest international tournament in VCT history. To celebrate the start of the new season, we're going to invite every partnered team to Sao Paulo, Brazil for 3 weeks of high-stakes competition. We'll meet the new rosters, birth new rivalries, and get an early look at who truly won the offseason. This one-time event will start the season in February and crown a winner in early March. The team who places first will earn their league and extra slot at Masters.
Okay, let's just talk about that, because that's probably the biggest thing in this video. What an insane idea. What a cool idea. What a great idea overall. And this is a great idea for a lot of reasons. One, it's cool, right? That's just the first part of it. It's cool. It's a massive tournament, biggest tournament they're going to have. Maybe the biggest tournament they'll ever have, to be honest, if they stick with this kind of, 3 international league stuff. I mean, this might genuinely be the biggest tournament they do, right? 30 teams in a tournament. Absolutely crazy, like wild. Cannot wait to watch this and be super tired all of the time. It's also cool because it's happening in Brazil, and this will be our first international event outside of Europe. So, that's going to be cool as well to see, the Brazilian fans get a absolutely insane tournament to go and watch, which that gives me hope, that there'll be a lot of the masters maybe will going to, different places, not just Europe. Maybe it'll be on a rotating schedule or something. I don't know. But that's kind of a good thing, I think, overall, and I like that a lot. I can't wait for a Masters to be in Japan, to be honest, even though that will destroy my sleep schedule. But yeah, really interesting stuff overall. And then the third thing that I think is really cool about this is that, well, essentially, you're not going to know. It's going to be difficult to know how good each of the leagues are, right? No one's going to really know at the start, right? It's difficult to set expectations, and so just having like all of the teams play together is going to be really interesting, because you're going to see every single team, right? You're going to get a good overview of, okay, who are the underdogs, who are the favorites, right? Who are the good teams, who are the bad teams, how are the leagues overall, right? Which league is the best league, right? Like, what's the average level of every league? Are some leagues very top heavy, or some, much closer together? We're going to, this should be a decent way of finding out, but we would have never known, for a while probably, until, we really start kicking it off. But you know, this is just a great way to just straight away just throw everyone in all together, right? Let's figure it out. It's going to be super, super interesting. But then at the very end there, what they mentioned was the winner is going to get an extra slot at Masters. Keep that in mind. They said Masters, not Champs. So let's think about that going forward.
From there, we're moving into the first competitive split of the year, with stacked rosters competing on LAN week in and week out.
Now, also, just quickly, I'm not sure if this is a hint that Fnatic, you know, like, which teams are in this video? You know, which teams are in this video a lot? Oh, there's Fnatic. Oh, there's Zeta, right? Fnatic and Zeta Division are probably two of the favorites, I would think, to get in, but I'm not sure if this means anything of which teams they're including or not. I'm not sure if that's them confirming that those teams are getting in, but I'd be shocked if Fnatic didn't get in for sure.
Across EMEA, APAC, and Americas, we're going to see a constant stream of inter-regional matches with the biggest personalities in Valorant popping off right next to their opponents. We're going to elevate how our esport is showcased and unlock the type of storytelling everyone wants to see. Our major hubs will be based around 3 cities where we will have the deep...
Okay, so these are the 3 cities that it will be hosted in as well, so most of the teams are going to be, you know, located close to these regions. I think most people kind of expected this. There was like a little talk about maybe Barcelona would be the city for EMEA, but you know, I think most people probably expected these cities, and you know, I mean, I've been to Berlin. I haven't been to the other 2. Berlin's fine. You know, Barcelona maybe is a bit better than Berlin. I think even most Berliners might agree, but you know, they're all fine cities. I don't really have much to say about this, to be honest, but it will obviously be a big thing for the teams and the players because they'll have to be, you know, somewhat close to these cities and, you know, based near them to, you know, regularly get there.
Support to build the best shows possible. Each venue will have on-site casters providing coverage in multiple languages for fans around the world. This split will begin in March, last through 8 weeks of regular season competition.
Okay. So, a normal International League split, at least this one, is going to be 8 weeks. Now, 8 weeks to me, I'm not sure if that's the regular season of it, so I'm assuming that it will just be one big group. If it's 10 teams, you play 9 games. If you do, you know, just a full round robin against everyone, I assume that that's what it will be if it's 8 weeks long. I think. I don't fully know, but I think that that's the case if that's just the regular part of it and then maybe a playoff split at the end.
And crown 3 regional champions in May.
Okay, so crown 3 regional champions in May. Now, 3 regional champions from each of the 3 leagues. That's 9 teams. But then remember, the winner of that first tournament gets an extra slot as well. That makes 10 teams. I don't know if this is going to be a 10-team tournament for a Masters. I'm not quite sure if that is the case or not. Some of you, of course, will not enjoy the fact that if it is a 10-team Masters, that's what this kind of leans towards. I mean, at this point, they still could easily change that, right? They could easily make it 12 or 16 or whatever if they really wanted to. But just based off what they just said, 3 from each league, the winner of the first tournament gets an extra 1, so 4 for them. That makes 10. A 10-team tournament is kind of an interesting way of doing it. Maybe that would have a group stage in it if it was a 10-team tournament. I'm not quite sure, but it would definitely be an interesting way of doing it. Maybe more of a round-robin style if it was
Masters will return
teams.
in June, and it will feature the top teams from each international league. The second international event of the year will reward top teams from each territory with a direct qualification to champions.
Okay, so the top teams from each region get to champ. I mean, that's kind of like what it is now, right?
In July, we'll see the return of last chance qualifiers.
And then we have LCQ again. So, similar sort of stuff going on there, right? Where, you know, the best teams from each year go to champs directly. They get a direct slot in. And then there's an LCQ as well for teams to get into champs as well. So, you know, kind of like it is right now.
Top performing teams who have not yet qualified for champions will get one last shot to earn an invitation to the most important event of the season. Each of the 3 LCQs will advance 1 team into champions.
So LCQ is only for 1 team each as well, so you know those tournaments are going to be pretty
Additionally, in July, we're going to see the debut of the brand new Ascension tournaments. These tournaments will feature the...
Now, these Ascension tournaments, by the way, so if you aren't aware, basically this is for the tier 2 teams. Whoever wins this tournament goes into the big leagues, right? I cannot tell you how big these games are going to be. these are honestly probably the most important games of the year. These, like, the Ascension final is worth like a lot of money, and like worth a lot to like just the orgs, right? It's great for an org to win a trophy or whatever, but like, if you're an org, this is the game you want to win, right? You'd rather win this game if you were an org rather than probably like, you know, some trophy. You'd probably rather win this because it's going to be worth, you know, more money, to be honest. So these games are going to be high stakes. I mean, really high stakes. Even though they're like tier 2 teams and some people might not care, you know, this is going to be a high stakes games.
Best teams from more than 20 different challenger leagues. You'll see dozens of squads compete on LAN for regional pride and promotion into the international leagues. The path here will be hard, and aspiring teams will need to battle through 2 splits that will start in January and conclude with Ascension in July.
So this is something I'm not quite sure exactly how this will work. Maybe it's like a point system, kind of like Champs, right? Where across these two kind of things, you earn a certain amount of points that get you into the Ascension tournament. Maybe this becomes seeded as well, right? Across the different leagues, right? If you just earn a lot of points or something. Maybe that's the way they're going to do it. I'm not quite sure, but we'll have to see. Maybe this is like an elimination thing, but then I would think that's probably not the case, because if you get eliminated in March, that's a long time to not have anything to play for. So I'd assume most likely it's going to be like a points-based thing to get you into the Ascension tournament.
In August, we're going to cap off the year with Champions, our celebration of all things Valorant. After an inaugural season full of new changes and new events, the mission becomes critically simple: secure the Champions Cup and write your name into the history books. Teams will be in top form for the biggest event of the season, and we can't wait to see who will stand at the top of the podium after the dust is settled. We're excited to share the initial details of the 2023 season and our plans for the new VCT.
Okay, so that's the overall schedule there as well. So you can see that basically tier 2 Valorant, you know, you're going to be playing for quite a bit, right? There's quite a bit of things going on here. This will be like continuous throughout, starting in January, you know, going all the way through to June, and then obviously the Ascension tournament as well, with a bit of time to prep. We got the 2, obviously, big kind of tournaments. Obviously this one, because it is just a big tournament, you know, you won't have that first international league split. So in a normal year, I think, you know, this will be a bit more squashed, right? Obviously you'll have like a Masters in here, and the international league split might start a bit earlier than this big kickoff tournament. But then again, this big kickoff tournament is going to be absolutely insane, and I cannot wait. And then in the off season, is
your
like
support and enthusiasm continues to push us to dream bigger year in and year out, and we hope that you're as excited as we are. Now it's time to refocus our attention on Champions Istanbul, where the next Valorant World Champion will be crowned on Sunday. We hope to see you there.
Oh, I'll be there. Don't you worry. So yeah, that's the news. Very interesting stuff overall, I thought. Some interesting little things. Not quite sure if a Masters will be 10 teams only. That would be something that, you know, I'm sure some of you might have some issues with. But then again, that first tournament is going to be absolutely insane, and I can't wait to see what that's going to look like. So yeah, some exciting things, some questions still, right? Some things to be figured out perhaps, but a very, very interesting kind of idea overall that I thought was probably, you know, worth sharing and worth breaking down.